Good evening. As we come on the air in the West tonight, President Trump addressing the American people just a short time ago as the toll of the coronavirus widens here in the U.S. The president sought to reassure the American people, saying, quote, "We are marshaling the full power of the federal government to protect the American people." And the president suspending all travel from Europe to the U.S. for 30 days, excluding the U.K. The president's words come after the World Health Organization today declared the coronavirus a global pandemic, citing the alarming levels of spread, but also the alarming levels of inaction, in their words. The death toll rising here in the U.S. to at least 36, more than 1,200 cases now reported in 42 states and Washington, D.C. Tonight, 4 more states added just today. And Dr. Anthony Fauci from the National Institutes of Health warning Congress today that the coronavirus is 10 times more lethal than the seasonal flu, and that the outbreak is, quote, going to get worse, and that we are vulnerable to shortages, respiratory protection for our healthcare workers among his concerns. Tonight, the National Guard moving in, that first containment zone outside New York City, cleaning crews moving in as well. In Boston tonight, the number of cases tied to one conference now growing, at least 77 cases now. And there is news coming in tonight from actor Tom Hanks saying he and his wife Rita Wilson, who are in Australia, they felt tired, like they had colds, had some body aches, that Rita had some chills that came and went. He says, "We got tested and we have coronavirus." He says they will now be isolated, tested again, and added 1 day at a time. We'll keep you posted, he says, saying, take care of yourselves. ABC's Whit Johnson leads us off tonight with the president's words and the efforts across this country to slow the spread.
President Trump tonight addressing a nation now facing an invisible threat.
We are marshaling the full power of the federal government and the private sector to protect the American people. This is the most aggressive and comprehensive effort to confront a foreign virus in modern history. I have decided to take several strong but necessary actions to protect the health and well-being of all Americans. To keep new cases from entering our shores, we will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days. The new rules will go into effect Friday at midnight.
On Capitol Hill today, the nation's leading infectious disease expert issuing this dire warning.
It is 10 times more lethal than the seasonal flu. I think that's something that people can get their arms around and understand.
Dr. Anthony Fauci telling lawmakers that the virus will continue to spread, but how bad it gets will depend on how governments respond.
We will see more cases and things will get worse than they are right now. Bottom line, it's going to get worse.
It got worse fast for Clay Bentley, a retired officer from Rome, Georgia, who was sent home from an urgent care after a flu test came back negative.
Over the next 4 days, I got really bad.
He called the hospital and finally got tested for the virus, positive for COVID-19. He's now worried about his family getting it.
I just assumed I had the flu. No energy. Hard time breathing. Achy all over. Cold chills. Fevers. I have had the flu before, but I ain't never felt this bad.
Infections in Massachusetts more than doubling, with at least 70 of the cases connected to a Biogen employee conference held in Boston last month. Across the country, drastic measures. In New York, where the number of cases now tops 200, the National Guard preparing for deployment in that so-called containment zone. A 1-mile radius in New Rochelle, north of Manhattan. That cluster, home to the state's biggest outbreak, linked back to that New Rochelle attorney, still in critical condition. Nationwide, the virus has prompted more than 1,500 schools to close, impacting more than 1 million students. In the Seattle area, where the most Americans have died from the virus, officials shutting down schools for 53,000 students. The Golden State Warriors will play the Brooklyn Nets in an empty arena tomorrow night.
If that means not having any people in the audience when the NBA plays, so be it. But as a public health official, anything that has large crowds is something that would give a risk to spread.
And late today, the NCAA announcing that the public will not be able to attend this year's March Madness basketball tournament. Other major events canceled, and discussions currently underway about whether the city's beloved St. Patrick's Day parade will be called off.
And Whit Johnson back with us again tonight from New Rochelle. And with Dr. Anthony Fauci was very clear about something else today as well. He was asked if the U.S. is facing shortages of medical supplies and devices. And here's what Dr. Fauci said.
I believe that if we have a major outbreak, we are definitely vulnerable to shortages.
With the White House acknowledging that late today, and we're hearing from health officials around the country who say they could be facing a shortage not only of supplies, but of manpower in this fight.
And David, a senior official with HHS, tells us that a lot of these medical supplies come from overseas, and they're mostly worried about shortages when it comes to healthcare workers and making sure that they have the proper masks and protective gear as they treat infected patients. But they are now working with a variety of companies to try to boost supply.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.